What's up, Renegade Nation? Before we begin the video, I'd like to give a big shout out to our most recent Patreon supporters: Dark Cap'n, Telma, Joshua Gare, Canadian Caesar, Kenvara, Jean-Luc Cheritat, OXL, Colin Young, Ross Lingard, Joshua Lawrence, Kevin, by the way, I'm a girl, Yoda, and Munit D02. Thank you all very much for your support, and if you want to support us on Patreon, feel free to click the link below to find out more, and we'll see you there. I have no idea what the hell this is about. All I know is that people have been recommending this, suggesting this, and everything. And I looked up a little something about Morbius.
Isn't this related to a comic?
It is, yes. It is actually a Marvel property that is still in the hands of Sony.
Oh.
So, given how Sony has handled their Marvel properties outside of Spider-Man, Venom, and so forth, Venom was a middle-of-the-road film for me. I thought it was okay, but it could have been so much more. And hopefully they'll rectify a lot of the problems that the first one had with its sequel, which is being directed by Andy Serkis. Which, here's the hoping. Fingers crossed, you know?
Every time I hear that name, I'm just like...
No, every time I hear
Circus.
that, I see Micah's worst fear. Chimps literally rising up and you know, and just going, no!
I'm guessing he directed the Planet of the Apes movies or whatever.
No, he just played Caesar.
Oh.
He played the lead. And played it very, very well.
I've still never watched any of those.
My friend, the first one, okay. To me, they each progressively got better. I could safely say that the first one's great, the second one is amazing, and the third one, I think, is probably, to me, one of the most, like, perfect ways to end a series like that.
What about the old ones?
I actually, well, considering there are more good new ones than good old ones, don't get me wrong, the shock of the first one and the makeup effects at the time are amazing. Especially 1968, dude. I mean, 1968, that's just crazy to think how much detail they put into those into the costumes and everything. And of course the story and everything is actually really interesting. And how it ends, I mean, you know, it's one of the best movie endings ever. And but the one thing about the recent ones is that we see the rise and the idea of the apes becoming their own society and thus gaining their not only their sentience but their full, like, intelligence and how they're able to do things. And it's beautiful to watch all the way through. The first one is really good. The second one, I thought the second one was going to stink, and then I heard who was directing it, and I'm like, oh, this could be good. And it was even better than the first one. And then the third one, I'm just like, damn. I never expected the third one to be that good. But
for some reason, it's just a series of movies that just conceptually never came off as super interesting sounding to me, so that's why I just never have really watched them.
Well, we may take a day and watch the first one and see what you think of it. And if you really like it, then I guarantee you will really like the second and third one, because the first one's probably the worst one. There, by no means is it a bad movie. It's just the concept goes to a certain degree, and then the second and third one just push it into the stratosphere, and it doesn't look back, and it's beautiful.
I basically have to submit to watching the first two, at least in that case, because I don't want to watch the first one and be like, I didn't really enjoy it, but then supposedly the second one's supposed to be a lot better, so it's like, who's to say I wouldn't enjoy that then?
We'll have to see. We will have to see. But for now, Morbius, don't know, this is, okay, the lead in this film, I believe, is played by Jared Leto. Leto, I don't know 100% the pronunciation.
I've always heard Leto.
I have as well. Jared Leto, Jared Leto. I mean, I don't know.
I don't
But
have
anyway,
much respect for him after the whole Joker incident.
Incidents. My
All
whole
the shit
thing,
that went
my
on
whole
with that.
thing with that. Look, I am all for method acting. I am. However, when your method is
Being a dick to your co-stars.
well, being a dick to your co-stars, and also not getting the Joker down right. Because here's the thing. The Joker himself said this multiple times in the comics and said it in the Batman TV animated series. The punchline has to at least make them laugh without it having to be explained to them. That's the point of the joke. It's a lot funnier when people get it and they laugh about it versus it having to be explained to them. And plus, trollish behavior is not a joke. Don't get me wrong, trollish behavior can be funny sometimes, but in that state, the way he was doing it, no. Albeit, I love Jared Leto as an actor. I mean, he can transform himself into a character whenever the material's good and his behavior can be reined in. For instance, Dallas Buyers Club. I thought he played Rayon with like the absolute genius and morphed himself into that role. And I honestly stopped looking at it as a character, and I stopped looking at it as Jared Leto playing a part, and instead I saw Rayon the character. Rayon the character became more prevalent than the thought of Jared Leto being the one playing the part. And that's what makes a good actor. That's what makes a good actor or actress, when they lose themselves in the role and you literally see them as the character instead of themselves. Which hopefully he'll be able to sink his teeth into this. I do not know what the hell this is about. All I know is that Jared Leto is in it, and let's get it up on screen. Let's see what happens. Here we go. Ooh, interesting.
Michael, I've known you since you were a child. You're a gift. You always have. If there's an answer to the disease, you'll find it.
Okay.
I should have died years ago. Why am I still here if not to fix this?
Damn, he looks a fuck ton like Jared Leto in this
I
role,
have a
though.
rare blood disease.
Yeah, he does.
At a time. This could be my last chance.
Except he's
You're up to something.
physically he's transforming himself.
It's not exactly legal.
Oh, I hear that.
Than you already have.
That's Rachmaninoff.
Be a cure.
At what cost? Michael, what's happening?
I went from dying to feeling more alive than ever.
Increased strength and speed.
Okay.
The ability to use echolocation. And an overpowering urge to consume blood.
Oh, yes. Okay. Okay.
How
Okay.
far are we allowed to go? To fix something that's
Matt
broken?
Smith? Holy shit.
Until the remedy. is worse than the disease.
Yeah, okay. I remember Morbius now.
That's what I was thinking. Someone had told me about it, which was that he was like a vampire.
Got tired of doing the whole good guy thing, huh? What's up, Doc?
What? What?
Nice.
But are you kidding me? Okay.
I don't recognize a shit ton of actors, but I definitely recognize him.
No, well, yeah, I recognize him because Vulture. If he's playing Vulture in this, then this will tie into Tom Holland's Spider-Man universe. Look, I know. Well, this is the one thing that they have been dying to do for the longest time: create their own little Marvel pocket cinematic universe, completely separate from what Disney is doing, and use the characters that they still have the rights to, which is pretty much the Spider-Man universe. Now, Michael Morbius, I remember Morbius now. He was one of the antagonists for Spider-Man. He was the vampire who sucked your plasma out or blood out with his hand. He had sort of like a suction cup thing where he would put his hand on you and he would be able to remove blood through your skin that way. And he also had a in the show. I remember him mostly from the Spider-Man TV show, the animated one. It was or the one in the 90s rather. Should specify because there's a lot of animated Spider-Man shows. The one in the 90s, he had a relationship with Felicia Hardy, a.k.a. Black Cat. And Felicia, it was a little bit of a love triangle between Felicia, Peter Parker, and Michael Morbius. Michael, brilliant, brilliant individual in his own right. Peter Parker, a brilliant individual in his own right. And Felicia was caught in the middle of that. She did not know that Spider-Man at the time was Peter Parker. And Michael was in the midst of dealing with his transformation from being very sickly to having this power. Because imagine going... it's almost like the Spider-Man parallel, except Spider-Man was never crippled in any way. He was small, weak, and frail. Whereas after he got the power, he was inspired to do good. Whereas Michael Morbius was never given any direction like that. Instead, he was only intoxicated by the power, and no one was there to tell him different. That you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't act out in this way and try and do this. The whole thing with him is just the way his story ended in the Spider-Man animated show was really tragic. I mean, holy shit. And I'm thinking maybe they're going to turn him sort of like how they've done with Venom. They're going to pull the anti-hero thing. And he's going to be more of an anti-hero, or he may develop into a full-fledged villain. In which, if he does...
I think it would be really neat if they started doing movies that were like origin story movies for full-on villains.
Well, they did with the Joker, and that turned out really well.
Yeah.
11 Oscar nominations. How you feel about that?
And I mean, they were saying like that's not even going to be like an official part of the DC universe.
Well, no, it's not going to be part of the DC expanded universe.
But I mean, it's like there should be like a series of, in my opinion, like supervillain movies. I think that would be really cool.
The thing is with the Joker, this may that in the DC cinematic universe that may very well give birth to what you see. I talked about it, and I reveled in the fact that the Joker movie that Joaquin Phoenix was in may very well get a sequel if Joaquin Phoenix will agree to it. It just depends on if they can tell a story that he finds compelling enough to come back. Now, what that gave birth to was potentially DC Dark, which is DC pretty much doing like the darker side of stories, telling more mature and R-rated stories, and not being afraid of the rating system, because The Joker was made for $55 million and has officially now grossed over $1 billion. You tell any movie studio out there, if they can make a movie for less than $60 million and receive a profit of over $1 billion, they will jump at that every time because movies are a money-making business.
$1 billion is a lot of fucking money.
It is. And if you come up with more stories that people gravitate towards and continues to enthrall, and because we've seen superhero stories. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has given us almost nothing but hero stories. What about the other side of the coin? And I'm hoping that the Joker is merely the first.
In my opinion, villains are more interesting a lot of the times than the heroes are.
Depends on
at least backstory wise and shit.
It depends on the universe you're set. Which
DC
side.
Definitely.
DC has better villains by far.
Because out of all the heroes in DC, the only one that I ever really kind of stuck to was Batman.
I stuck with Green Lantern a little bit, and also Wonder Woman. I like her a lot.
Never really got into anybody but Batman that much.
That's fair. That's fair though.
But most of the reason that I like Batman is because he has the coolest pool of villains he's up against, in my opinion, out of almost any other comic character.
Well, yeah, I mean we listed Joker, Penguin, Scarecrow,
Riddler,
Killer Croc,
just freaking Mad Hatter,
Clayface. I mean. The list goes on. Hush. The list literally goes on and on and on.
Deadshot.
Yeah. Freaking Slade. Yeah, Slade Wilson.
Slash, what's his other name?
Who is it?
He's got another name he goes by. Slade.
Oh, that's Deathstroke.
Deathstroke, yeah, that's it.
There's
because I mix up Deathstroke and Deadshot sometimes.
Yeah, Deadshot is more of a technical sniper, whereas Deathstroke is like a full all around assassin.
Or just where both of their names kind of start.
Well, yeah, they start with
dead and death.
Yeah,
so they're easy to mix up name wise.
Headshot. Oh my god!
When I see them next to each other,
of course we can't forget Harley Quinn. Which by the way, the new trailer for the Harley Quinn movie is out, and a lot of people say we need to watch that because they say it looks interesting. I mean, it may very well. I don't know. So
it may look interesting to everybody else, but if she's not going to portray the character the way that I kind of love her, then I'm not as interested.
Well,
it's just personal preference.
Well, my personal preference too is the traditional Brooklyn style accent that she uses. However, everyone tells us we need to watch the Harley Quinn DC series, and Kaylee Cuoco is not doing that with her portrayal. So how a person plays it. I mean, I love Margot Robbie. She's a great actress, but I don't know. It just feels like there's something holding her back from being completely just accepted in the modern day, accepted up there with Arlene Sorkin and friggin' Tara Strong as the quintessential Harley Quinns.
Everybody basically tells me the same fucking thing. They're like, get over it. It's not the cartoon. She was overdone on the cartoon and shit. And I was like, dude, I have a different mental,
image.
Basically headcanon of what the cartoon version of Harley would convert to if she were to be a real life. And it's just the Margot Robbie version isn't fucking close to what I had in my head. So sorry, but you may like it. I don't. Get over it. It's just an opinion, dude.
Well, I'm all for changing characters if it helps the character. It's just most of the stuff that they've done with her, especially with what they did in Suicide Squad, she was a bright light of that movie, but it was still a bad movie. I mean, and honestly, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, maybe, I don't know. But with Morbius, I'm thinking this may very well be something interesting. I don't know the full details behind it. I don't know who's directing this. I'm
always interested in good vampire shit because obviously there was a lot of bad vampire shit for a while.
Well, if this is if this
turns out to be some good vampire shit, even if it's a comic book vampire thing, I'd still probably be kind of interested.
Here we are, Morbius. Yeah, Morbius, based off Morbius, the living vampire. Okay, so it's going to be released this summer. Is being directed by Daniel Espinosa. Why do I know that name?
Cause see, for a while, through from the late '80s through the early '90s, there was a whole lot of really good vampire shit.
Oh, he directed Life.
And then all of a sudden Twilight
Okay.
happened. And then Vampire Diaries. And
Ugh.
people kept just making vampires fucking not badass.
Yeah.
Not sexy, not alluring, like just like cringe. They made vampires cringe is what they did.
Yeah.
Whereas like a couple here and there have brought them back in a not so cringe way, like it's like based off of an older thing, like 30 Days at Night was pretty badass. But I mean, like I used to be a big fan of, well, I still am a big fan. I'm a fan of like Lost Boys, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, From Dusk Till Dawn, and like obviously like the original like Bram Stoker's Dracula, and then Interview with the Vampire and stuff like that. And it's just, there's a lot of good vampire stuff. I do like vampires. So
No, I do too.
if this is a good movie, I'll be kind of excited about it.
Oh yeah. Which
But we made this short trailer in a very long,
like a 20-minute
about
video.
it, yeah,
So yeah, we're
it's
gonna
time to stop.
Yeah, we're gonna move on from here, ladies and gentlemen. This was the Morbius trailer. Hopefully, you all will. Hopefully, you all will like what we've had to say. I mean, if you have anything that you would like to add to our conversation, feel free to have at it down below in the description. And if you want to find out more from about Morbius, I mean, there's a link to the original trailer down below in the description. And if you want to subscribe to us, feel free to. Also, don't forget to ring the bell to stay notified. Leave a like on the video; it helps us out a lot. And until next time, signing off. I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
And we'll see you in the next one, everybody. Peace out.